The recent presidential pardon by Bola Tinubu has polarized public opinion, with Nigerians expressing mixed views on the benefits of the action. In this explainer, Abdullahi Ahmed takes a look at the controversial names included and the crimes committed. Take a look.
President Bola Tinubu's decision to grant pardon and clemency to 175 convicts, including those convicted of murder, corruption and treason, may be constitutional, but it has sparked unease across the country. At a time when insecurity, corruption and violent crimes still define daily life for many Nigerians, the message this mass pardon sends feels troubling. Now, the data shows that drug offences top the pardon list, with 70 inmates representing 40% freed. Illegal mining comes next with 60, that's about 34%, followed by financial and white-collar crimes at 30, representing 17%. Most disturbing, however, are the 25 convicts representing 14%, pardoned for violent crimes including murder, kidnapping, and armed robbery. Among the more controversial beneficiaries are people convicted of violent crimes. Mariam Sanda, sentenced in 2020 for culpable homicide, served just 6 years and 8 months. Benjamin Ekeze, sentenced to death in 2017 for armed robbery and conspiracy. He spent 12 years on death row at the Kirikiri prison before his sentence was commuted to life. Kelvin Prosper Oniera was one of Nigeria's most feared kidnap and robbery kingpins. Arrested back in 2013 by a joint team of the Army and DSS, he was behind a string of high-profile kidnappings, including that of barrister Mike Ozekome, SAN, and the murder of former Anambra Deputy Governor Dr. Chudi Nwike. His gang killed several police and military officers and operated detention camps across Delta, Edo, Benue, and Abia states. Before his capture, Kelvin had at one point issued a 60-day ultimatum to the federal government, threatening mass violence if his arrested gang members were not released. Now, 12 years in prison, he has been granted presidential clemency. The official reason given was that he has shown remorse and is furthering his education through the National Open University of Nigeria. A decision many see as a mere slap on the wrist, considering the gravity of his crimes. But perhaps the most telling of all these cases is that of barrister Hussaini Umar, convicted in 2023 for laundering 1.1 billion naira. He was accused of falsely claiming to represent the Nigeria Customs Service in a 1.1 billion naira housing deal. Now, less than 2 years later, he's been asked to pay the ICPC 150 million naira and then walk free. A small price compared to the sum he was charged with laundering. Meanwhile, thousands remain imprisoned across Nigeria for petty theft, minor drug offences, or non-violent misdemeanors. People whose lives have often been irreversibly damaged, while more serious offenders receive presidential mercy. The same presidential list also extended posthumous pardons to long-dead figures such as Major General Mamman Vasta, executed back in 1986 for alleged treason, and Ken Saro-Wiwa alongside the Ogoni Nine, who were hanged in 1995 by the Abacha regime. While the clemency for these activists and soldiers carry moral weight, correcting historic injustice and healing old wounds, the inclusion of those convicted of grave contemporary crimes blurs that line between justice and sentiment. The Constitution does give the president the power to show mercy, but mercy, according to most, must strengthen justice, not weaken it. When those convicted of killing, stealing public funds, or peddling hard drugs are freed after short sentences, it does undercut the rule of law and erode public trust in the justice system. In contrast, thousands of poor Nigerians languish in prisons for petty offences, some awaiting trial longer than their crimes warrant. They rarely get presidential attention. No committees sit to consider their conduct or age. For them, Mercy is a luxury reserved for the influential. Still, the posthumous forgiveness of national heroes like Herbert Macaulay, convicted by colonial authorities back in 1913, stands out as a thoughtful gesture. It honors the memory of one of Nigeria's founding figures and restores dignity to names that helped shape the nation's struggle for freedom. But even such symbolic gestures cannot overshadow the deeper concern. In modern Nigeria, justice appears flexible for the powerful and unbending for the powerless. Presidential pardon should correct injustice, not reward notoriety. Mercy should comfort the wronged, not the wrongdoer. When nearly 3 out of every 4 pardons benefit offenders involved in drugs, illegal mining, and white-collar crimes, it raises the question, is this mercy or moral compromise? President Tinubu's gesture may be lawful, but for many Nigerians, it feels like justice has been compromised.